All right, let's jump right in and break down the real estate numbers for Bradford, West Gallinbury for March 2026. We're going to figure out what is really going on in the market. So let's start with the headline number, the one everyone wants to know. The average home price in Bradford for March 2026 was $896,638. But you and I both know a single number almost never tells the whole story, so let's dig a little deeper. And just so you know where we're getting our information, every single figure in this explainer comes directly from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board's official report for March 2026. So you know we're working with the most accurate data out there.
Okay, first up, sales activity. I think the question on everybody's mind, especially as the weather starts to warm up, is did the market heat up too? Are we seeing that classic spring rebound?
Well, just look at this jump from last month. In February, we saw only 19 home sales. But in March, wow, that number pretty much doubled to 37. That's a really strong signal that buyers got way more active as we rolled into spring. But hold on, that's only part of the story. Because while sales were way up from February, they were actually down compared to this time last year. Back in March of 2025, there were 46 sales. That's 9 more than the 37 we just saw this year. And this chart really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? You can see that clear dip in February and then boom, that strong rebound in March. But you can also see that the March bar still doesn't quite reach the level we saw a year ago. So what we're seeing is a monthly recovery, but it's happening inside of a broader annual slowdown. So if sales are telling us two kind of different stories, what in the world does that mean for home prices? Let's dive into the price trends next. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Despite that big surge in sales from February to March, the average price actually went down. It dipped from about $919,000 to that $896,000 figure we started with. And the year-over-year comparison is even more telling. In March of 2025, the average price was over $1 million. Today's average, just under $900,000, shows a pretty substantial market cooldown over the last 12 months. Yeah, you can really see the trend here when you visualize it. From that high point last March, right through February, and into this March, prices have been on a consistent downward adjustment. It's pretty clear. Okay, so this brings us to the big question, right? How can sales activity be heating up from month to month, but prices are still cooling off? What's the missing piece of the puzzle here that explains this whole thing? Well, the answer, as it so often does in real estate, comes down to one word: supply. The really critical factor here is the rising inventory of homes for sale. In March, there were 182 homes for sale in Bradford, West Gallinbury. So that's the total number of options that buyers had to choose from at the end of the month. And that number, 182, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. We've actually seen a really steady climb. A year ago, there were 148 listings. That grew to 161 by February, and now 182. This consistent increase in supply gives buyers more options and, of course, more negotiating power. Now, a quick but really important clarification. While prices were higher back in March of 2025, we're not calling it a market peak. The reason is simple. Without more historical data, we can't make that claim. We're just using it as a direct year-over-year comparison point to understand what's happening right now. So we've looked at sales, we've looked at prices, and we've looked at the crucial role of inventory. Let's put it all together and wrap this up with the key takeaways for March. Okay, so here's the story in a nutshell. We have a monthly sales rebound, which signals a healthy start to the spring market. But at the exact same time, prices have cooled off compared to last month and especially compared to last year. And the reason for this? It's that growing inventory. The increase in supply is the key factor here, and it's putting downward pressure on prices even as more homes are being sold. So what does all this mean for you, whether you're buying or selling? Well, it suggests the market is shifting. More choice for buyers can create a much more balanced negotiating environment. It seems we're moving away from those intense bidding wars we saw in the past and towards a market where both buyers and sellers might have a little more breathing room. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. With sales picking up while inventory just keeps on rising, are we seeing the very beginning of a more balanced, more stable real estate market in Bradford? I guess only time will tell. Thanks for joining me.